Hello Animorphs fans and welcome back to the Animorphs universe. Today we're doing something that shouldn't take too long and should just be a little bit of fun. Every single book has a morph on the front. So for example, every book has got a specific morph on the front. And it's pretty much universally a morph that happens within the book. But was the right morph always selected for the front cover? In my opinion. Some books had morphs that obviously you'd need an artist to come in and do. So oftentimes it was something easier that was put on the front. So let's go through every single book and I'm going to give you my opinion on what morph should have been on the cover, whether it should have been changed or whether they'd picked the right one or whether they'd really picked the wrong one. Book 1, The Invasion. The first one that I would change, personally. This is one of the weakest covers in the series, and to be fair, it was the first attempt at doing it. It wasn't the graphic designer that they eventually settled on, which was David Mattingly. This was someone else. It wasn't even a full body shot like it is on most of the rest of the books, and it just looks like CGI. Which morph should go on the front cover? Should it be the lizard, but in a, better looking one? First book of the series, what do you want? You want something big and bad and in your face and, destined to get those readers coming in. This is Jake we're talking about. Throughout the series, he always has his battle morph, which is the tiger. Why was the tiger not picked here? And I think it should be. As much as I like lizards, they're lovely. They're not really first episode of a series or first book of a series stuff, really, are they? So I would have changed that to a tiger. So first change for the cover morphs. Let's move on. Book 2, Fluff and McKitty. Would I change? No. Why? Because it fits the book. Firstly, it looks good on the cover, the way they've done it, and I think it's absolutely fine. People like cats as well. So in the first book, you've got the tiger. Nobody owns a tiger. They're like, yeah, let's go for that. This one, they're like, oh, actually, I like cats too. And I own one of them. So that's pretty cool as well. Not only that, but it's very similar to book 1, book 2, but on a much smaller scale. And so that makes sense. If there's a tiger on the first one, it makes sense to have a domestic cat on the second one, because it matches the way that the books are written as well. Big, in-your-face, alien invasion craziness. Next book, same scenario, but we're looking at a single family, how it affects things on the smaller scale. Yeah, I think it just works. So yeah, keep Fluff and McKitty on that second one. Book 3, Tobias and the Hawk. I don't think you can't really put anything else there, because Tobias never morphs in that book. And keep that one. Book 4, Dolphin. Again, absolutely fine, and it's actually a really good book cover, so keep that one as it is. Book 5, okay, so in the UK we had the Lobster edition. In America you had the correct edition. I'm sorry to say, but the UK, for whatever reason, had a lobster on the front cover. No. The Americans got it right. The gorilla looks a bit weird on the American cover, so maybe update the look of the gorilla, but in general, yeah, the gorilla's the right choice to go for. And considering it was mostly printed with the gorilla format, I'd say it's not a change, it's kept the same. So far, with 5 books in, only the first book we've changed. Let's move on. Book 6 is difficult because we've already had the tiger on the cover. By the way, that's one of the rules I forgot to mention. Can't have the same morph twice. So there's got to be a different morph for each book cover. So I've already had the tiger. Can't do that. What else does Jake morph in this book? Cockroach and fly, basically. That's about the extent of it. There might be something else in there as well, but yeah, it's nothing. Was it Homer? No, it wasn't even Homer. But basically it comes down to, and when I was doing this list I had to think about this. Do I choose the cockroach or the fly? Well, we've already got the fly. Might as well just keep it the same, so keep that one the same, unfortunately. Number 7, Rachel with the grizzly bear. Keep that as it is. The grizzly bear is the most important part of that book, so in a way. So keep that one, that's absolutely fine, good cover. Number 8, Axe going into his human form, I think is perfectly suitable for this book. Again, keep that one the same. Book 9, same again. I was tempted to say, make Cassie morph a skunk on the front cover, but then I thought, why? It's just change for the sake of change. Her battle morph is a wolf. This is basically the introduction to Cassie book, because book 4 was more about saving Axe. And to put her morphing her battle morph on the front there is, yeah, that's suitable. So, yeah, let's move on to number 10, the android. So far we've had one change out of 9 books. It's time for the second change, because, you know, nothing wrong with spiders. For most people, some people, a few people. But I don't know. I don't think it works. The mid-morphs look a bit weird and freaky. Especially to me when I was a kid. This was the one that was a bit like, yeah, I don't like that. And the wolf spider didn't feature too much. It didn't. So I'm going to choose something that featured less. And there's a specific reason though. I think this book, it should have Marco morphing, drumroll, the Irish setter that he morphed at the start of the book. The breed of dog. Why? Because this is the Chi book. This is the Chi book. And rather than Marco morph a spider, which, yeah, it doesn't look great, and I don't think it makes for that great of a cover, make him morph into the Irish setter, which is a beautiful breed of dog, by the way. And it's also, yeah, it's the Chi book. They go into the underground dog park, so I just think it makes more logical sense as well that you'd put Marco morphing the Irish setter, even though he never, as far as I can remember, uses that morph ever again, and it's pretty inconsequential. I think it's actually suitable in this case. So yeah, change book 10. Book 11, Jaguar is absolutely fine. I don't see the problem with using this one again. I was tempted to put the monkey, but nah, if it's not broken, don't fix it. 12, Crocodile. Yeah, again, it ain't broke, and it makes logical sense because it's all mostly about the crocodile in this book, so yeah, happy with that. Book 13 is where we'll change, because we've already had, remember this is the rule, can't have the same morph twice, and the book series actually did this, it broke that rule, even though it didn't set that rule for itself, so whatever. Once again, it's this one. So it's Tobias morphing, or is it the other way around this time? Sometimes they say, oh, it's the other way around, so it's Tobias and his human body morphing the hawk, or the other way around in book 3, whatever. Nah, as much as it's a great... This is on my wall for a reason. It's one of the best books of the series. Iconic front cover, but I'm sad to say it has to change. Why? You need Tobias morphing into Ket Halpak there. I get the feeling that by this stage of the series they hadn't yet got official Hawk-Bajir artwork. It wasn't until the Hawk-Bajir Chronicles came along where we got Romas Koukalis's Hawk-Bajir into circulation and all that sort of stuff. So we didn't have official Hawk-Bajir design at this point. But this is a theoretical video. This is what should have been on the cover. And what should have been on the cover was a Hawk-Bajir. Specifically Ket Halpak, because Tobias morphed Ket Halpak. So that's what should have been on book 13. 14, Racehorse. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. It's pretty damn suitable. Number 15, Hammerhead Shark. Yes, no complaints there of that being the morph on the front. 16, I had to think about this, but there's really not much that Jake morphs. He morphs a fly in this. What else does he morph in this book? Really not much. So yeah, I've already had the fly, and Rhinoceros was the only other morph that really had much of a big effect on this book. So yeah, Rhinoceros on 16, Bat on 17. I was tempted to go Mole, but then I thought, you're going between two. It's like the lizard from book 1. They're not like the hard-hitting animals. Bat or Mole. Which one do you go for? Mole would look weirder. Bat would look a bit cooler. And to be fair, book 17 has a really good book cover, so that sort of swayed me. I already like that cover, so just stick it with Bat. So we're sticking with what we had. 18, Axe morphing Mosquito. Not a great cover. And there is a better option. Because remember which book this is. They go to planet Lyra. That's the majority of this book. They go to planet Lyra to meet the Lyrans. So, much like with book 13, in a perfect world, we've got plenty of artwork for Lyrans. Whack Axe morphing a Lyran on that cover. That would be the perfect morph for book 18, rather than the silly little mosquito, which just looks pretty terrible, honestly. Book 19, I've got it here. It's just slightly off screen. Beautiful cover, one of the best of the series. Don't change that one, don't touch it. Book 20, Marco morphing the Cobra. There really isn't much else we can put on this cover, really at all. We've already got the other morphs on the covers, so it's going to have to remain the Cobra. As much as I thought we could have, it would have been nice to have a better one, but there really wasn't any other option, so stick with the Cobra. 21 is, yeah, that one needs changing, because much as we love Homer, you know, he's a good boy, he's the bestest boy. You're in the second part of a massive hard-hitting trilogy, and you've just got smiley little Homer on the front. It just doesn't give the right message. So you've got to get something that looks a little bit meaner. And I think the Dragonfly is the only other option there. That's basically your options in this book, is Dragonfly or Homer. Because obviously we've already got the Tiger, that was way back in book 1. And I thought the Dragonfly did more in the book, for one thing. They're pretty impressive looking animals, much like the butterfly on book 19, and it just feels like there's more going on there than your simple golden retriever. So I'd say Dragonfly for that book. 22, Rachel morphing the rat. Now this is one of the hardest ones I had to think about. This one stumped me right till the end, because as I go through this list, as I get further down, I've got to look back up to say, right, what have I got over in that book? Can I put that one there or whatever? So I was tempted to keep the rat, because it is in keeping with the book, the whole David thing. Eventually, Rachel looks at David in book 48 and says, am I that person? Is that what I'm becoming? And so her morphing rat on the front is almost like a foreshadowing of that. But, and this is a major but, this is one of those covers that makes the rounds as the meme. This one. And I think it was a PewDiePie video I watched recently. One of his old, like 3 or 4 years ago, PewDiePie. And he used this. He mentioned Animorphs, and this is the picture he used, talking about, oh, this meme reminds me of Animorphs, and he showed a picture of book 22, The Solution. It's one of those books that is just there. It's one of the first book covers that will come up when people think of it. And it's because it looks silly. I'm sorry to say. I wish it didn't. But it's just, there's too much baggage with this cover, basically. So it needs changing. It needs something more fierce. And what is something fierce? What is Rachel? Bold Eagle. That's her bird of prey morph. I think Rachel morphing the Bold Eagle would have been a really good cover for this book. Not as relevant as the rat, but in the third part of a trilogy, it needs to be a big hitter. And Bold Eagle is that. And we need people to laugh at Animorphs less. We need to. Some of these book covers just went too far into silliness, and this was one of them, I think. Like the mid-morph Rachel, just, yeah, it looks silly. So that's unfortunate, and that was the 90s. But this is difficult for me. I'm not saying, oh, I don't like the rat cover. I just thought there's something about it, just, I needed to change it. But it was a difficult decision to make. Let's move on. 23. There's literally nothing I can do, because who does Tobias morph? He morphs Cat Hellpack, and that's pretty much about it. We've already had Cat Hellpack back on here. What else does he morph? He morphs a rabbit. So we have no choice but to keep the rabbit on this cover, even though it's not the best cover, is it? Let's be honest. 24. Anteater. Yeah, it's weird in a good way. It's suitable. I like it. Keep it. 25. Polar bear. No complaints again. It was either that or a seal, and I think the right choice was made. 26. Well, we've got a problem here because we've already used the tiger. So what morph could we possibly use here? Well, it's clear and obvious, isn't it? Jake morphing a howler. That's what's needed on this cover. And that would look pretty amazing, wouldn't it? Jake morphing into Howler would be an excellent book cover. It's just such a shame we never got it. We need artists out there to do that. Yeah, the Howler is on that front cover. No questions asked. 27, Squid. Yeah, no complaints. It was either that or a whale, which would probably just look very, very weird on a front cover of an Animorphs book. One of the animals morphing a whale. I don't think it would work. So yeah, Squid, happy with that, fine. And it was done quite stylistically on the front cover of the Exposed. I was very happy with it. 28, Axe morphing a cow. Looks silly. The book is silly, to be fair. Very funny silly, but still silly nonetheless. I think it should have been him morphing a chimpanzee. I think with the cow it's easier because of the whole four-legged thing and Axe being four-legged. I mean, the two arms do get in the way a bit, but I think a chimpanzee would have looked a lot better and probably been more suitable as well, because the chimpanzees were the major climax of that book. Yeah, I just think it would have looked a lot better. Plus the fact that instead of the cow, it should have been a bull in the first place, from what I remember correctly. So yeah, just change it and put a chimp there. 29, Yerk. Yeah, that's the book where Cassie morphs a Yerk. It needs to be Cassie morphing a Yerk on the front cover, no questions asked. Book 30, The Reunion. This is another one that was a bit difficult because Marco doesn't really morph that much. So the options were Cockroach, which is the original cover, or a Mountain Goat. Which one looks better? I mean, you've always got to side with... what is a cockroach? It's basically just like a pellet, isn't it? Not exactly the most interesting thing in the world. Mountain goats, at least they got character about them. So whack a mountain goat on the cover of book 30 instead of the cockroach. Be done with it. 31, Falcon. No complaints. I think in this list, every Animorph morphs their bird of prey morph on one of the covers. Except for, obviously, Cassie and Marco. Both morph Osprey. They didn't get... That's a video I need to do at some point. Why did Cassie and Marco just get an Osprey? Why didn't one of them get something else? Like a Harris Hawk or something? It just seems like they should have all had individual ones, but whatever. Whatever. 32, Starfish. I wanted... This is like the 22. This is the book that people look at and think, wow, that was Animorphs. That's weird and stupid. But what else can you put on the cover of this one? What else? We've already got Hawk-Bajir. Basically, most of the morphs in this book have already been used in previous covers. The Starfish is where it all began, what started the whole proceedings of the story going forward. It just looks so derpy, doesn't it? On the front cover. But there isn't much else we can do. I'm sorry. Unless we do it so that we've got mean Rachel morphing into nice Rachel / vice versa thing going on, like in book 48 with Super Rachel, but I just don't see that working. It would just be Rachel on one side going, and the other side going, no, it wouldn't be like that, it would be, and the other side going, yeah. It would look even sillier, honestly. So just keep the Starfish and just let's try to forget that book exists. Book 33. It's Tobias morphing Axe. And considering you don't really morph much else, that's the only solution. So keep it. 33, keep it. 34. Cassie morphing Hawk-Bajir. We've had Hawk-Bajir being morphed before in book 13. So we can't have Cassie morphing Hawk-Bajir on the front of this book. What should we put on the front of this one? I might be about to break my own rule here. Cassie should be morphing Aldria. So in the previous book we had Tobias morphing Axe. I have broken my own rules, haven't I? Because I said Ket Halpak counts as a Hawk-Bajir, so he can't have multiple Hawk-Bajir. And now I'm saying two Andalites. So in book 33, Tobias morphs Axe. 34, Cassie morphs Aldria, both Andalites. I'm just discriminating against Hawk-Bajir here, and it feels dirty. Okay, so I'm going to backtrack slightly on one of my rules. If it's individuals, like characters that we know, then we can have them morphing into each other even if they are same species, race or whatever. So let's go back to the separation. Sod the starfish. We're going to do Rachel morphing Jarahami, because that's the only other morph we can really do in there, and it looks so much cooler. It's not as relevant, of course, but sod the starfish cover. Honestly, it just looks... doesn't look right. And that little smile on her face. Now, just go. Put Jarahami there. Which means I can allow Cassie morphing Aldria on book 34, which I think is a very suitable cover. 35. Now, it is quite nice to have Marco morphing the poodle, Euclid, but I thought what would make an even better cover, and remember we're in a perfect world now where we can put anything there. We need the Pooh Bear, the poodle polar bear hybrid. I know we've had the polar bear recently, but this is different now because it's a hybrid. Sort of like Super Rachel in book 48, it's a whole new design, and it's this polar bear poodle thing just going mad, jumping at the freaking thing. I think that would be excellent. That would be a brilliant cover for book 35, and it would just throw people off like, what's going on with that morph, you know. I think it would be a bit more exciting than just Euclid the poodle. 36, the Orca. Great cover, absolutely fine. No problem with it. Potentially, you could have put the Nartek, but the only character who morphs in Nartek is Tobias, and this is a Jake book, so Jake's on the cover, doesn't work. So keep the Orca. Book 37, the cheat is absolutely fine. It's one of the only redeeming features of book 37 is that the front cover isn't bad. So just let it have that, let it keep it. Book 38, there wasn't much choice, because Axe has already used up his other options in previous book covers. So this is where his Bird of Prey morph gets its time to shine. So Axe morphing the Northern Harrier as it already is on book 38. It looks fine anyway. Not really that relevant, but still, it's nice to get him having his Bird of Prey morph on the front cover. Book 39. There really isn't much else you can put other than the buffalo. So Cassie morphing the buffalo. Yeah, crack on, do your thing. Pile of rubbish book. Book 40. Marco morphing a bee. Oh, a terrible book. I wanted to put... because the bee just looks... again, just... I don't like the look of it. And Marco looks completely bored in his picture. It's a bad front cover. So I thought, initially, let's put him morphing the osprey. I thought, that's absolutely fine. We need Marco morphing the osprey anyway. But then you look ahead to what book is to come, book 45, and I had to change my mind, because I didn't want Marco morphing the ant on that book cover, and the only other option was the osprey. So, spoiler for what I say about book 45. So I have to keep the bee. Let it be, I suppose. Sod off. Book 41, Jake really doesn't morph that much, and the picture of his older self is fine, so keep it, yeah, why not? Book 42, Rachel morphing the elephant. Again, not much choice. Fine. It's sort of suitable because it's the Helmacron book, but she's morphing the massive thing, which is ironic sort of thing. So yeah, fine. Book 43, Tobias morphing the Taxon. Perfect cover morph for that book. I'm not touching that one. Leave that one as it is. Book 44, like with book 43, there's not really much better you can do than Cassie morphing the kangaroo. And this is voted one of the worst covers, and I'm thinking, actually, it's not a bad cover at all. Keep that one. I like it. Now we move on to there's a long string of books that we didn't change. Book 45. So, it was originally Marco morphing an ant, which is a bit of a cheat, really, David Mattingly, because Marco never fully morphs an ant in that book. He sort of morphs halfway into ant, and that's it. That's the whole reason that the ant is on the front of this book. It doesn't... Firstly, the book is bad. It makes it even worse that the book cover is a lie. So, this is where I said, okay, let Marco have his bird morph. Yeah, why not? So, Marco morphing the osprey on book 45, because we hadn't used the osprey before. Now's the time, rather than the freaking ant. Book 46, Axe is morphing some fighter pilot, I believe. I'm pretty sure it's a fighter pilot. Rather than it be an anonymous fighter pilot, get Admiral Carrington in there, in his Admiral get-up. bit more. It would look better, I think, if he had like an admiral. That would look cool. So, I'm still human, obviously, but a different person. Okay, Admiral Carrington. Book 47. Bang, 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 bang. Instead of a beaver, because let's face it, that mid-morph is redonkulous. Let's have Jake and Isaiah Fitzhenry. Similar to book 41 where he's morphing his old self, except this time he's morphing Isaiah, however you say his name, Fitzhenry. You know, with his old Union uniform and rifle and that whole garb. That would be suitable because the book's split in half between those two anyway. So rather than the silly looking beaver, as much as it was a lovely morph in that book, I'm not going to complain about the morph, the cover morphing sequence looked very, very derpy. So let's just get rid of that, please. Book 48. I'm not sure whether to count this as a change or not. I do in a way because it has to change. It's not super enough. We need like mega mutated Rachel. Rather than just, hey, Rachel, we need, like, proper jaws jutting out, like an extra set of teeth, big, massive claw arms, like something out of Silent Hill, I don't know. We need it better. We need bigger Super Rachel. We need massive monstrosity Super Rachel. Artists need to get onto making an actual, like, proper Super Rachel, because that would be awesome. And that's what we need on that cover. Book 49, we've got a picture of Champ, and there really isn't many other options, so keep Champ in there, that's absolutely fine. 50, same again, Great Horned Owl. This morph is actually used a lot throughout the series. Quite a lot, the Great Horned Owl. So it's about time, it looks good on the cover as well, it's about time that one got its cover morph. Its morph cover page thing. So I like that the Great Horned Owl got its recognition there, so keep it. 51. The Mallard Duck. Getting to the end of the series, as much as it was a fun little morph to use, I don't think it strikes fear into the heart of Yerks across the nation. So we've morphed a lot of humans recently, to be fair, which is the only reason I'd say otherwise, but it should be Marco morphing the state governor. Whoever that is. So I think it's just some frumpy old lady. But that would work. You know, you get the official title, make it look like she's the state governor. So previously we've had Axe morphing an admiral in my theoretical scenario, and now we've got Marco morphing the state governor. So anybody looking at this thinks, oh, they're morphing all these people in power, things must be big at this point. So I think that could work. I think it would work better than the Mallard Duck, which is just like, oh, that's a freaking duck, innit? 52, Raccoon. I actually, as much as I said, you know, about the Mallard Duck, it's just a duck, raccoons have got a bit more about them. There's something sneaky and sly about them, which is very much Axe in this book, and there weren't many other options. In fact, I think raccoon was the only option at this point for Axe. So I'm fine with it being the raccoon. Book 53. Now, this is a bit of a cheat. This is a bit of a cheat for me. But 54, by the way, we're not having, because we're having 54 remain the same. The heads in the Rolling Stones thing going on. So 53. So on the original, Jake is morphing the Anaconda. I think now we need something bigger than that. We need to think a bit more metaphorically now for this penultimate book. This needs to be the best cover morph of the series. What has happened to Jake throughout this series? He's gone from being just some average Joe, like your proper good guy. Your proper good guy. He's just an average bloke going through life, and when people need help around him, he says, right, I'll help you out, I'll do the thing. Just a good guy. By the end of the series, he's like wiping out 17,000 effectively, obviously this is up to debate, defenseless Yerks. Sending 17... So the number 17 with Jake, isn't there? Sending 17 disabled kids to their death, as well as, was it General Doubleday and his men? Yeah. He basically says, like I posted a meme yesterday, Lord Farquaad, some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. So Jake's gone full on, not evil, but cold-hearted military leader. And what other cold-hearted military leaders do we have in this book? None other than Esplin 9466. Visser 1 at this stage. So, I think for this final one, although Jake doesn't technically morph Visser 1 or Esplin 9466 or the body of Alaran, I think we should have Jake morphing on the front cover, morphing Alaran. Jake morphing Alaran / Esplin. You know what I mean. Visser 3, if I were to put it as simple as I can. But then you'd say, oh, but it was Visser 1 at that stage. We all know him as bloody Visser 3, don't we? So just get a grip. He will always be Visser 3 in our hearts, let's be honest. But yeah, for that penultimate book, I know it Christ. I know it technically doesn't happen in the book, and I'm breaking my own rules a little bit here. But for this penultimate book, I think this is perfect. Rather than the Anaconda, which is largely inconsequential. Let's be honest. I'm saying that a lot. Jake morphing Alaran. Yeah, I think that would be a great morph. It would bring it all together at the end, won't it? I hope you like my list. I hope you like what I've done there. It's all theoretical. Do you disagree with any of the things I've picked? Do you agree with the majority of them or only a few of them? Let me know what you think. Remember to subscribe to this channel if you like the content. Press the like button. Do all that stuff, basically. Do all that stuff that the things happen on YouTube, the things that you do. Words are difficult. I hope you understand that. So, yeah. That's that. I don't know what else to say. So, this will be my goodbye message to you. Thank you very much for watching. And I hope to see you next time, somewhere in the Animorphs universe. Ta-ra!